Well, it's a tough old day. It's a tough, mean, dirty business being the great cricketer, Sam Perry. That's a day in the dirt. That's a couple of days in the dirt for the Australian cricket team. Team Cricket Oz. 149 overs so far in the field for the Aussies. And got to tell you, it looks like they might be out there for another couple of minutes. That's Australia are right behind this game. Really far behind the game. But I guess Sri Lanka played okay, I guess. I mean, they were a test team playing at home or whatever. It's kind of annoying. I don't really rate it still, but I guess they're allowed to have one or two good days in the field. I'm not happy about it.
Mate, it was a great day for Sri Lanka, really. And, you know, right off the back of them, of the people reclaiming their country the day before and jumping in the president's pool, everything's coming up fucking...
Hey, what about some of those scenes?
Yeah, everything's coming up Sri Lanka. They've won every session since the start of day 2. Some ugly numbers for Australia piling up now. Lions won for high hundreds, getting through, 60 overs or something? Is he up to 60 yet?
56.
And Sri Lankan batters just absolutely cashing in. It's like 86, 85, 52, Chandamal's, 100 not red ink, 61 for the debutant, wasn't it? Kamindu Mendes, who played really well. So it's good gear from Sri Lanka, and just got a feeling as well, mate. Like the game's got a big fast forward in it too. You know, you could be thinking, oh, maybe this is petering out. It's pretty decent batting, etc. I don't know. I just got a feeling there's a big old fast forward in it. Listening to look, my old club mate, Rusty Arnold talk today. Yeah, played 5 games with him. Yeah, wouldn't have a Scooby Doo. But he was saying that, like, in his time, like through history and in his memory, like Gaul, this is how Gaul plays. It's like the last game there and a couple of games in the past is not really representative of how it normally goes. It's normally like you got to go big first innings, and then that bad boy is going to speed up at some point. So I just feel like Sri Lanka are playing this just beautifully. They're playing a beautiful hand, and Australia, they're getting cornered.
Yeah. Now, if I was some of the bowlers, I'd be saying, I'll tell you what, it looks pretty flat. And the guy behind the stumps will also be saying, tell you what, boys, this is an absolute minefield, this is. It's really tough to even get a glove on some of these. I'm saving runs by stopping the ball.
That's right. Going
behind me for buys. Don't worry about the drop catches and the stumpings. Worry about the buys, lads. I'm keeping those buys nice and low.
Yeah. And even though there are lots of buys as well, because it's still quite a high number, relatively to what it could have been.
Yeah, that's right. I think there was an early chance. Was it off? I think it was Chandamal. I think it was, Lyon was bowling, went through the gate. Who was it? It might have been Kusal Mendes earlier on, and that one ragged and it went real sharp and it went quick. The angle. I don't think Kerry could have done anything about that. There was just another couple ones throughout the day where it's like that just looks to me like a lack of concentration and just not expecting the ball. And that's kind of... I felt Australia today at no point played poorly, but fuck, I thought they were flat. And just little things, like just a lack of backing up, a lack of movement, a lack of Marnus getting in the game.
Fuck, you try.
Throwing his lid to Alex Carey.
Fuck, there's some carry on. If you listen on the radio, SEN doing a great job of covering the cricket on the radio, I have to say. Like, I enjoy listening to their commentary, and the stump mics are turned up deluxe. It's crunching through the ears.
Right.
You know, the guys commentating regularly will say, because I think they can hear it even more than the listener, and they'll sort of and these are my words, but you can almost see the rolling of the eyes, you know, when they're talking, going, "Oh, there's Marnus again." So he definitely gets involved and he carries on, and then he obviously then he threw a left to right pass or right to left pass with the helmet that just landed on a fucking good length, and the helmet exploded.
And Elijah and Warner are both in shot, and they're both like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like just
mate, on Carey,
Marnus in about 3, then
At what point do we look? It's tough to keep in conditions. It was tough for Dick Weller too.
It is,
but at what point are we? Look, we know he's not Tim Payne with the gloves, but are we nearly at sort of Carey isn't gloves territory? I know it's just Sri Lanka, but there's
No, well, it's not though, is it?
there's a bit of other stuff as well. Like it just
there's a catalogue of mistakes,
and it's
in Australia.
It's interesting, isn't it, mate? Like with keepers, I think there's people will allow for a bigger margin for error with keepers more than they used to because they contribute more with their bat. They're expected to do more with the bat and be a little bit more destructive and bring a few more skills. And Kerry's certainly done that. You know, he's shown a little bit more in the locker than some of those we've had. Well, at least Payne beforehand and Peter Neville and stuff like that. But there seems to be a kind of crossover where it's like, look, he's actually symbols, but we like him with the bat. To like, nah, he's good enough with the gloves, and we like him with the bat. And I'm not saying Kerry's symbols. But by any stretch, but it's not quality glovemanship either, is it?
It's a lot lower than what I was expecting. Now, like, you know, a lot of people say, like, he goes, you watch every single state game, don't you? Every Sheffield Shield match, you watch that, don't you? And that's actually not the case. But I you know, we've seen his glove work in white ball cricket, and it's been pretty good. It's just a different beast, isn't it, red ball cricket? And like, we were definitely spoiled with Payne, and like there was a distraction with Payne about, well, he's never got a test 100 and all that stuff, but fuck, he didn't drop much, Payne. Not much went behind him. So therefore I'm saying start the campaign and bring back Tim Payne.
Good point.
Or Ian Healy, one of those two. So yeah, I mean the backup keeper on the tour is Josh Inglis, and like there's just. I think there'd be more clamour for Inglis if anyone in Australia had ever actually seen him play. I've seen him play about 4 games in the 100. And I like it with the stick. It looks really nice. He's played a couple of white ball games for Australia, hasn't he? But like in terms of gloves, I have no idea if it's any better. I think Carey probably is best gloves remaining in Australia. I mean, but they're saying that
Jimmy Pearson,
Queensland.
Jimmy Pearson is the one
who's had a fucking amazing. He's had an amazing.
I think he's the one that like he's the keeper's keeper. I think he's the one that you know ex keepers look at and go, yeah, I like the soft movement.
You like the look of that?
Yeah, it's a nice glove.
Because he had an excellent Shield season. He scored multiple hundreds, and he is the keeper on the Australian A Tour, and he scored 100 chasing 370, didn't he?
That's right.
So, like, I mean, again, I've not seen it, but it's new and it's exciting. So, yeah, knocking on the door big time. Carey's had, I think Carey's mistakes today are also compounded by the poor use of the review system today. I mean, they have Chandimal out when he's on 30, was it? Stark.
That's massive.
Caught behind.
That's fucking massive. And they've burnt it. And I watched every ball today, and there was a few times, you know, with like the use of the DRS and it goes a couple of umpires calls and whatever, and it's like, okay, it's just those are the rules, and it's just umpires call, and then you've burned a couple of reviews as well. And it's like, well, don't be a dumb coat and use them better. But I if I'm on the field, I'd be like, oh, come on, umps, can you fucking give us one? Can you give us one? I mean, there was an early LBW off Mendes as well off line, which was fucking smashing the top of the stumps. It was a millimetre away from being more than 50%, and it was given that our line gets him out, like I think maybe the following over or 2 overs later. So it doesn't matter, but like you just look at that and you're like, just give us one. Can we just get one? You know, but you know, this is the way it works out, and use your reviews better, then don't burn them. And then when Chandimal nicks off, that's probably going to be the turning point of the entire match. Also, I would say coupled with Australia losing 5 of 35 in the first innings. That does seem to be the complete outlier in the entire game, because Australia had taken 4 wickets in the entire day today. They look exhausted. Lyon's going off the field with cramp. He's already bowled 56 overs. I thought everyone bowled okay, so I don't think anyone bowled a particularly bad spell. But they look flat, and I agree with you. This has got a real fast-forward button in it, this game. And I think at that point it's important to note, as we play this video to the equivalent of mum and dad in the lounge room,
literally dozens of people watch this one, Pez.
Like, you know, and this is going to stutter out of my mouth, but Sri Lanka's played well. Like they've played well, considering that.
Good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they've been. Yeah, like. They got pumped by England on absolute raggers that they produced, with Root and Dom Best getting the worst fiver of all time, etc. And then they produced the same deck for the first test, and they were shaking hands a day and a half into it or whatever, and it was beers deluxe. And I found a bit of water for the deck, and but just in that circumstance too. And then Australia had a pretty good day on day one as well. You know, first session maybe on as even, but then Australia took it away from them. From that moment, you know, on the second day with Jai Surya going through them on debut, finishing with 6 for, and then being really solid with the bat. Like, they have batted well, you know. Though the wicket has been pretty benign, you know, we were positing that a lot of the Sri Lankan guys were low on class and skill, you know, so it didn't really matter. Now, that's not been the case this time at all. Like, I thought they've all looked really organised. They've run really well. They've pressured the Aussies. They're you know, when Karunaratne and Mendes were batting, you know, like, it's just little things. It's not like one guy's dominating and someone else is getting tied up and he's not quite good enough. Both of them were scoring at the same rate, rotating well. Like, all of the partnerships have been good. And look, I'm nowhere near close enough to understand this, but like, I wonder if they're kind of inspired and they've raised their game as a result of you know, broader things happening in their country, and that Australia are just you know, we're the second character in this story, because, you know, they're playing out of their skins for really how pumped they are. Usually, Australia have had no answers for 2 days, and so to your point, like, you start to look at like some of the more process-related KPIs, like, well, are they bowling good areas? How's the fielding? How's all this stuff? It's all pretty good, you know. And even as the day wears on, Australia still looks pretty relaxed. Like, no one's really carrying on. They don't look like they're getting perturbed by it all. So Australia is still at the races, trying their best, but Sri Lanka's just playing well. Like, you know, for Kamindu Mendes on debut to come in, make 61, looked great the whole time.
I thought he looked great.
Yeah. And then Chandimal makes his 13th Test ton. He's not had a good time for the last couple of years. You know, that's a great effort as well. He's looked fantastic. So credit to.
I thought you were going to say Karunaratne.
Credit to Sri Lanka.
Shit! Holy shit!
I know,
okay.
what's that? I mean, look, effigies on Pitt Street in Sydney. Don't get me wrong. I think it's Ronnie out already. Look, don't get me wrong about any of that. And Cummins, but should face court for this. But nevertheless, I think Sri Lanka are playing pretty well. Court. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think they are, and that's upsetting. And I wasn't expecting this, so therefore that's news to me. I'm upset, and the Australian nation is now behind the tennis sensation Nick Kyrgios. Of course, that's all we're really focusing on at the moment. So it's not really what we're about. I think the slogan for Cricket Sri Lanka is like one team, one nation. Just to that point of like you know, unity and what's going on in that country at the moment. Fucking hell, there's absolute scenes in the president's pool yesterday. Yeah. Absolute pool. Blokes doing fucking backflips in there. Yeah. I saw a bloke on Twitter smoking weed like in his bedroom, just like rolling a joint. Just like, hell yeah. I mean, I can get right behind that. Just an absolute scene in the presidential palace. So maybe once again Australia's got to be the bad guys. Except like I thought the exact same thing. There's no carry on. There's a few moments today, a couple of bad throws, but overthrows, no carry on. I mean, this team is. This team is likable.
Yeah, as opposed to the Aussie team in 2000, where their slogan was "One Team, One Nation," but that was a political thing that was going on at the time. We were still we were still a really good team, so we didn't really mind. I reckon there was a couple of voters in that team, but anyway.
Yeah. I would have thought so. Hashtag RCGC from Forget the Script, Pez. He says, now that Australia's pissed through their reviews and been turned down after putting on the show of a lifetime, do you think if they can dress Maxwell like an umpire and have no one notice that he'd be allowed to umpire the game, or is this rule change too far? So what Forget the Script is saying there, Pez, is like, can Australia somehow match fix this game? I had an idea, Pez, for a rule change where, you know, like when you see this much more on Twitter when like something happens in any sport, in any team, where like something goes wrong and then someone's got this like wild solution to like fix this very unnecessary problem which just affects your team at that particular moment. I like the idea, Pez, if your team is down to 0 reviews and then the umpire makes a mistake, then you get a review back. So it's like a buyback program, like Australia had with guns in like 1996 after Port Arthur. I like a buyback program for reviews. You know, Dharmasima, once again, first time I've seen him make a mistake, missed one. He just missed one. Wind was going across the ground apparently instead of down breeze, and so I think that Australia should get one back because that was a mistake. That was I mean, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
Mate, I think that's
good?
that's a great idea. All I could think of with that question was, this could be the first time in my life where I have nothing to respond to with this question. I don't really understand the thrust of it, but I suppose where whoever that person was is coming from. Forget the script. Is it in capitals? I suppose where "forget the script" is coming from is like when things get tough and your team isn't performing, you start to seek the safety and the looks of somebody. And Glenn Maxwell has been on the field at various times. The beard looks wonderful. The baggy green does fit him just so. He's a he's an out and out athlete. His head he's got an athlete's head, whatever that means. And then obviously this forget the script has kind of, I guess, extended that into umpire form, and it's probably a fetish thing. And so I guess I'm starting to think of like who are some of the safe people you want to see in Sri Lanka? You know, who are some of the what's Australian safety when it comes to Sri Lanka? And I don't know what that is really. You know, I mean, I'm seeing visages of Warren around the ground and stuff, but that's not Sri Lanka specific. That's just, I always feel safe with that.
I think Nathan Lyon's the safety of Australia in Sri Lanka.
Copeland
debuted there first week at first test ball. I saw it was a good stat today, Pez, Equinox stuff, is Nathan Lyon has now bowled the most overs in Sri Lanka by an Australian in the first innings. So
great stuff, mate. Fucking great.
Who was the absolute nonce who was like, he's bowled 47. If he bowls one more, he's got the record here. He's got the absolute record here. I can't believe there's a couple of tweets on this. 72 likes,
look,
one retweet.
I have to confess, like, to the listeners or the audience, I did text you this morning because I saw this on Twitter. I'm not going to name anyone or anything like that. But what was it? It was someone tweeted like it was in the India-England game last night. Yeah, it was county cricket. You know, doesn't matter who it was, but they were 1-1-1 for one off 11.1 overs, and then it said simple pleasures, and you know what? It's actually true. Like you do, like it's why we like scoring 100, and we talk about 5 for 400. It's all divisible. Things that are divisible are good. Yeah. The joke is on all of us, but you still read it and you're just like, you know, simple pleasures. You're like, you see numbers on a scorecard and you're like, oh God, I am absolutely in nirvana here. Like,
get me a towel. Yes. Someone get me a towel. Absolute nirvana.
Yeah, that's right. So like, it's coming up. But you see, if you look closely enough on Twitter, you see a fair bit of this kind of stuff. The truth is, we probably all feel that to some extent. You know, you don't get into cricket without having a little bit of numbers stuff about you. You know, some of us just hide it better than others. But yeah, I just still like simple pleasures. You know, like someone's sitting there going, it's the simple things in life, really. Mate, there's nothing simple. There's nothing simple neurologically about that, brother. That actually requires a complex solution. But you already know that because you've been to hospital a few times. No. I don't know.
Oh, you're back again, are you? What was it, number stuff? What do they finish on? Talk me through it.
You're feeling stressed after a day's play. You just get your missus to just, write something on a page. 1-1-1 for one or for 11.1. Oh my God. It's better than a glass of wine at the end of the day's play. Just love seeing numbers.
Mate, the bowler's holding the batsman's willy. Oh, just absolute. Yeah.
Absolute scenes. The bowler's jelking the bat. Sorry.
All right, day 4 tomorrow, Sri Lanka. They're doing some stuff. This is interesting. What can Australia do? Let's find out. See you tomorrow.